Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. And you can't possibly talk about all sorts of good stuff unless you're talking about Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, you know what? I want to make 0.111% of what Endgame is making in the theater. I think I'd be a happy man.
I think we would probably all be pretty well off at this point. Also joining us, of course, is Ashley Whalen. Ashley, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. Yeah, and if you could just share that wealth with me, then you'd still have a lot.
I'm there.
There would still be so much to go around. The money train that is known as Avengers Endgame just keeps on a chugging. And listen, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the status of Endgame, where it's at, a whole bunch of things about that as well. But before we get started on anything else, let's go off the top with this. Now, there's a lot of Marvel properties and a lot of Marvel to go around. There's Marvel movies, Marvel on Disney+. There was Marvel on Netflix. And now we got Marvel on Hulu, and we found out a couple of more shows that are going to Hulu for Marvel. And those are going to be in the form of Ghostrider and Helstrom. They have confirmed now that Ghostrider and Helstrom have both gotten live action orders from Hulu. Of course, Disney is a majority owner of Hulu as well. We're going to get that out. What has also been confirmed, what wasn't known at first, is that Gabriel Luna, who played Ghostrider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is going to be reprising the role. However, Variety stresses that even though it's the same actor, it has absolutely no connection to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I think is a rather odd kind of decision. Like, if you're going to say it's a completely new incarnation and totally separate from what's going on in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., why not get a different actor? But whatever. They know what they're doing. Let's see how that turns out. For those of you who don't know what's going on, here's specifically what it said in the news release. Ghostrider, also known as Robbie Reyes, is consumed by hellfire and supernaturally bound to a demon. He lives on the Texas-Mexico border, and when he unleashes the rider, Robbie brings vengeance for the innocents he encounters, but struggles to control the power he wields. Now, as far as Helstrom goes, in Helstrom, Damien and Anna Helstrom are the son and daughter of a mysterious and powerful serial killer. The siblings have a complicated dynamic as they track down the terrorizing worst of humanity, each with their attitude and skills. All right, Rob, we're now hearing we're going to get Ghostrider, Helstrom. I honestly, I've heard of Helstrom. I quite frankly don't know a lot about Helstrom. Do you have much of a background on it?
No, I don't. But I'm excited to see, first of all, the premise excites me.
Yeah.
And Ghostrider too. I mean, I liked him in the role. I thought that it was cool. I mean, I like that incarnation of Ghostrider. And, I think the Texas-Mexico border is kind of like living in hellfire all the time because it's hot, hot, hot. But I think the show's going to be cool. I'm excited. Why not? Why not bring on a Ghostrider? Bring on the Marvel Knights.
One of the things that I'm curious about, though, here is that with them moving Ghostrider to, and a live-action Ghostrider to Hulu, you and I and a bunch of you guys at home have been speculating for a while that I wonder if Disney Plus will leverage Hulu a lot more, moving some of their harder-edged original material to Hulu while they keep the Disney Plus channel more of a safe haven for more family-friendly sort of fare. With them making this move, Rob, do you think that sort of confirms that, or do you think that's still up in the air?
Well, Disney has never really been known for their hellfire and brimstone shows.
That's
maybe
true.
the demon in Fantasia, but other than that, maybe. I think you're right. And look, they're going to have to do that as a company. They bought Fox. They're acquiring bigger stakes of Hulu. They've got to appeal to a wider audience, and I think they're doing a bang-up job.
What do you think about the selection of the titles, though?
I think absolutely.
Really,
I
think the audience is looking for Ghostrider?
Yes, they're planting a flag saying we're not just making shows for kids. We're making shows for everybody, for general audiences, and they have to. That's the only way their streaming service is going to work. I mean, as much as I like the old Fess Parker, Davy Crockett from the 50s, I don't think that they're going to be able to build a streaming platform just with their Disney fare.
And they're trying to build two platforms now.
Right.
Now they're trying to build out Hulu with one set of stuff. They're trying to build out Disney Plus with another set of stuff. This might just give us a little bit of look into what the future holds with Disney's strategy. Question is here, guys, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it was a good move to come out with a Ghostrider Live series? What do you think about this notion that's not in any way connected to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? And what about Helstrom? I mean, this actually sounds a little bit more interesting to me than I thought it would. You guys, I want to know what you think. Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. Let's now move on to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys select them by sending us your topics and questions by going to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. When you get there, fill out the form and hit submit, and maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Ashley, what is our first main topic today?
All right, guys. The first one is from Heather Richardson. Hi, John and team. I got turned on to The Greatest Showman after you kept raving about it and the soundtrack.
The Greatest Show.
First, I got hooked on the soundtrack, then the movie. Just saw that Zac Efron said there is a chance a sequel would get made. Honestly, there is nothing I'd want more in theaters than that. Do you think it could happen? And do you think they left enough room to make a movie that made sense? Thank you.
The Greatest Showman was one of my biggest pleasant surprise movies for a long time. I'm not a huge musical guy, although I love Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is actually in my top 20 all-time favorite movies. I love Moulin Rouge. Greatest Showman, I didn't know what to expect from it. I didn't know what to think. I like Hugh Jackman. I like Zac Efron. And I went in to see it, and I was just captivated by it. And Rob, I remember this one time, you and I went to lunch, and then after lunch, we got in my car. I said, dude, you got to listen to this soundtrack. And I popped in the Greatest Showman soundtrack and just played track after track. Because I was like, just listen to this one song. Then that song would end. I'm like, no, let's just listen to one more. And we listened to one more. I really grew to love this movie. It was a little iffy as a movie, but as an overall experience, as a musical and everything, it's just awesome. And I absolutely love this thing. Here's the funny thing about it, though. This movie made over $434 million, made almost $435 million. $435 million at the box office on a budget of under 90. Okay? Under $90 million, around $85 million. Now, let me ask Ashley, you and Rob here, let me ask you guys this. You guys want to take a guess at a $435 million worldwide total, what its opening weekend was? Rob, let's start with you. Want to take a
I know it was low, but I don't know, 20 million?
Okay, Ashley, you want to take
I was going to say 15.
8.
Whoa.
It had an $8 million opening weekend and went on to 400. I've never heard of anything like this. And it wasn't a limited release opening. It was a 3,000 theater opening. And it started at 8 million, and then it just had legs and kept going and kept going and kept going. Anyway, Zac Efron was asked recently about, what are the possibilities we could revisit that world when it's something that's that profitable and they had that much fun making. This is what Zac Efron just recently said. But I think someone is working on a treatment for something. I know they are. They are working on a treatment for something. When a movie becomes as big a success as this, it's only natural there's a demand for a sequel, he said. So those discussions have started, and we are working on one right now. Now, of course, Rob, one of the things that's going to kind of get in the way of this is Hugh Jackman is incredibly busy. He's doing a solo one-man show. I have tickets to, by the way, when he comes to the Hollywood Bowl. He's got a lot of projects on the go, but this was a love project of Hugh Jackman's Greatest Showman. As far as the question of will the audience come back to it and did they leave enough room in there for the story? As far as leaving room for the story, I think absolutely. When you look at where the movie ended, one chapter ended, but they were just about to embark on a whole new thing. So I think there's definitely room there. Will the audience come out to support it? I believe they will, because people loved this movie, and it's going to have a much bigger opening weekend than $8 million. It can't get much lower than that. But anyway, Rob, as somebody, I know you enjoyed the film. Do you think doing a sequel to this is something they should do?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, if I didn't sit in the car with you and listen to the song, I was literally in a Best Buy to pick up an HDMI cable or something, and I was walking by one of those end caps, and there was one disc. It had been decimated. It was around the Christmas season. I don't remember exactly what was going on. There was a steelbook of Greatest Showman, a Blu-ray steelbook, all by itself. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy that. And I took it home, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Do I think they can make another movie out of it? Yes. I think that there's more story to tell. Plus, you know what? The period is so rich. Now, I know this is based on the life of P.T. Barnum, and I get that. But they can make it more of a Fantasia. It does have that period element to it. There's a lot of ways they could make it interesting. Weren't they going to go to Europe again? I don't know. I can't wait to see a sequel to this movie. I've watched this movie more than I probably should admit to watching this movie, and it's a lot of fun. It's what movies are all about. I mean, movies don't have to all change your life. I mean, The Greatest Showman is just it puts a smile on your face. What's not to love?
Ashley, I never asked you about it. Have you had a chance to see Greatest Showman?
No, I was scared to tell you that I have not seen it.
No. Oh my God, that seems. I don't know why. It just seems like a movie that you would have gravitated
You'll love
towards.
it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
It.
It's just one of those ones that I've missed, but I absolutely want to see
good.
it. Yeah.
Oh, and you'll start singing the songs.
Yeah.
I remember I had listened to the soundtrack about 100 times before I even saw the movie. I just love the soundtrack. Some great videos online about it. Anyway, okay, with that down, let's move on to our next topic. What's up next?
All right, we have Daniel Hogan. Hello, John Campea crew. While Lionsgate have had a few hits for their studio, they have really struggled post-Hunger Games, with 2018 marking their lowest domestic box office take since 2011.
Yep.
So far this year, they've had 2 hits, A Medea Family, Funeral, 5 Feet Apart, and 2 misses, Cold Pursuit and Hellboy, at the box office. Will Longshot and the remaining 2019 films save their studio or further sink them?
The big thing to me is a lot of people forget there's this little movie opening this weekend called Long Shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. And, I saw the previews for this, and I thought the previews looked really good. I thought it looked quite funny. Now, Rob, you and I then went to CinemaCon. They did a screening for it that I was excited about, but then I fell under the weather a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't go either.
I didn't get out to it, but I talked to other delegates who were there, and they were all like, this movie's a winner. And already right now, it's holding like an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes already, and it's an enthusiastic 88. Like, as you read through the reviews on, people saying, this is a charmer. Like, this one's really good. It's a charmer. I think the dynamic between Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron is something that could click really, really well. I love Charlize Theron in comedy. I think she doesn't do comedy enough because I think she's great in it. Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen. We know what to expect from Seth Rogen. And so all this stuff is really good. So it's coming out. It's got great buzz. It's got great reviews. Audiences who have seen it seem to really like it. You're thinking it might do okay for Lionsgate. Lionsgate, which has not been doing great again since 2011. There's one problem, Rob. We got this movie Long Shot that is diving into a pool infested with this predator shark called Avengers Endgame. That, as you and I have already discussed, they're saying it's possible this thing could make $180 million on its second weekend. And they're calling it between 175, 185, probably. At 180, that's less. Just tiny bit, but less than a 50% drop for a movie that big, which would be absolutely unheard of. So normally a movie like this is coming out and we're just asking the question, hey, can this movie do well? But now we've got to ask that question also in light of, can it do well when you've got a cultural phenomena like an Avengers Endgame right now that is probably, at least it's safe to say it's going to make over 165 second weekend, like no brainer 165 easy, probably up to 180. Can a Long Shot survive in these waters, Rob? Do you think it can actually pull in business to do well for itself?
Well, it's counter-programming. It's a rom-com. It's got sort of that look. For me, it's wish fulfillment fantasy. If I look like Seth Rogen and, I'm kind of sort of like Seth Rogen without the beard, I could get Charlize Theron to be my girlfriend. Come on, who's not going to want to go see that? If I was feeling bad about myself, I think I'm going to hit that Long Shot because, after all, that's what I dream my life could be. So I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. My girlfriend Elizabeth's lovely. And I could never get Charlize Theron. It's probably a nightmare to date. But I just think that I don't think that a good movie necessarily or Juggernaut playing in the theater makes another good movie not do business. I think people like to see good movies. I'd like to believe, and I think there's evidence to support this, when people are excited about movies, a high tide raises all ships. And I think people, if they like going to the movies, look, Infinity and Endgame has a singular audience. But this movie looks pretty good. I'm interested in it. I like the world of milieu, the world of politics. I guess a reporter hooks up with a candidate. It's kind of got this
and the candidate used to babysit the reporter, so there's that extra little element in there.
And just like everyone had a hot cousin, everyone had a hot babysitter. So I get it.
True.
I get it. I totally get it.
You know, here's the thing. I've often said that too, that, hey, listen, just because people are going to go see one movie doesn't mean people can't go see another movie. It does become a little bit shaky, though, I think, when one movie is going to be eating up $180 million worth of box office that weekend. Because there are going to be people who might be going, oh, yeah, I'd be into seeing Longshot, but I got to go see Endgame again. And that might take precedent for a lot of people. Now, at the same time, there's a counter argument to that, right? The counter argument is, you know, whether it's the girlfriend or the boyfriend that had their girlfriend or boyfriend drag them out to see Endgame last weekend, and now the girlfriend or boyfriend of this week is going, okay, look, we went to see Endgame last weekend, we're going to go see Longshot this weekend. So there might be some of that, and I think you raise up a really good point. There is a little bit of an element of counter-programming here. Now, it's not like Sisters, which was complete counter-programming. I mean, this is Charlize Theron and it's Seth Rogen, who are popular amongst the fan base of an Avengers Endgame as well. But I think it can do okay. I think Longshot can make $15 million opening weekend. I think it can do that. I'm hoping it can do that. I hope that, like what you're saying, that a rising tide raises all ships. I hope that's the scenario here with this weekend. But it's tough when one movie is going to eat up that much of the box office dollars. It's tough to compete against.
But I've loved Charlize Theron since Devil's Advocate. When was that? 97?
Something like that.
22 years ago. I'll watch anything she's in just to watch her.
By the way, her movie, what was the action movie she just did? Atomic Blonde?
Yeah.
I thought that was underappreciated.
Yeah, me too.
I thought Atomic Blonde was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that movie a hell of a lot. But what do you guys think? Do you think first of all, do you guys have any interest in Longshot? I think it looks great. The reviews have been really good. But honestly, do any of you have any plans to go see it this weekend as opposed to maybe going to seeing Endgame for the first time or maybe for the second time? Who knows? Let us know what you guys think about this. Do you think Longshot can survive in these waters? Jump down in the comment section and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to the next email today. What's up next?
Malik Rihani. Hey, John, Toy Story 4 and Child's Play are releasing on the same day. Can Toy Story 4 affect Child's Play at the box office, or can Child's Play affect Toy Story 4 at the box office in a bad way? Who do you think will win at the box office on June 21st?
First of all, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Okay, so Child's Play and Toy Story are opening on the same weekend.
It's kind of funny.
Which is funny. And Child's Play just put out this poster, which I think is absolutely hilarious. This is awesome. Clearly, you've got a Buddy. Remember, it's not Chucky anymore, guys. It's Buddy walking away with a stuffing torn out of him, Woody, laying on the ground with the hat torn up and stuffing pouring out. That is genius. That poster is absolute unmitigated genius. I think that's hilarious, and it really hypes up that weekend a lot. Now, it is an odd choice that these two movies are playing on the same weekend, and there's a lot of, look, hey, I've got a lot more interest in this Child's Play movie, Rob, than I thought I would, because the trailers have got me on board when normally I haven't had any interest in it. But in asking the question, who wins that weekend?
Right.
Let's look at a little bit of history, shall we? Let's look at the previous
I knew an infographic was coming.
Yeah, let's look at the previous 3 outings for both of these franchises. First of all, the most recent Chucky movie, Seed of Chucky, made, this is an opening weekend, this is worldwide total, $24.8 million. The one before that, Bride of Chucky, made $50.6 million. And the one before that, Child's Play 3, made a grand total of $20.5 million. Now let's look at the previous 3 films, the last 3 films, the only 3 films in the Toy Story franchise up to now. Toy Story 3, $1.06 billion compared to the last Chucky movie at 24.8. Toy Story 2, $497.3 million. And then, of course, Toy Story, the original, back in the day, this number was really impressive back in the day, guys, $373.5 million. Look, does that 100% automatically mean that Toy Story is going to beat Child's Play? Of course it does. Absolutely it does. This is not going to be a contest. And look, Child's Play didn't put itself on this release date, Rob, thinking they could beat Toy Story. That wasn't the thought. To me, it seems like the thought was, hey, one kind of kids' toy movie, another kind of kids' toy movie, maybe feed off some of the hype of Toy Story 2. And you know what, Rob? I'll tell you right now, I think this was a great move on their part. I think there was one way of looking at saying they were insane to open on the same day as Toy Story 4. I actually think this could work in their favor. Now, of course, Toy Story 4 is going to blow it out of the water, box office-wise, yes. But I think Child's Play could make more money on its own now because of that dynamic of that weekend, putting out great posters like this. I think this is going to work in their favor. They'll come nowhere close to Toy Story. But I think this is going to work out for them. How do you see it?
I completely agree. I mean, look, this isn't even a boat race, as we say in the unlimited hydroplane circles. I mean, it's not even David versus Goliath. You're talking about two universes of box office that don't collide at all. And the Child's Play movies have never been high art, whereas every kid in the world knows Toy Story. And the Child's Play movies are, what I like about the Child's Play movies is, even from the first one, which I actually saw in the theater, they know what they are. They know what their audience is. They know exactly what they're doing. They're reinventing the franchise using AI, which I think is kind of cool. So they know what they're doing, and this proves it. They know exactly what they are. They're going after the audience. Their counter-programming is going to get them. This poster will get them more play on the internet and get more marketing dollars generated for this film, more eyes on this movie than anything they could possibly have done as far as regular marketing goes. And like you pointed out, it's a genius move, and it's gonna make Child's Play part of the Toy Story conversation, which probably annoys Pixar and Disney to no end. But I think it's a great move. Good on them. And who doesn't like Chucky and now Buddy? They're your friends to the end.
Being voiced by Mark Hamill is voicing it. I think Aubrey Plaza looks great in this thing. I'm curious about it. Look, I had absolutely zero interest in another Child's Play movie. Zero. These trailers have kind of got me on board. I'm intrigued. I'm not saying this movie's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but I can at least say this thing's at least got me intrigued. But the question is, what do you guys think? Do you think this was a good move on the part of Child's Play or a little bit of suicide? And what do you think about that new poster? I think it looks fantastic.
John, somebody needs to make a Buddy poster where he's holding a lightsaber, and the ad line says, "Oh, now we know where he went."
Oh my God. I wouldn't put that by. Of course, Lucasfilm would probably sue them to death at that point.
Yeah, but if it's fan-made.
That could be fun. All right. Listen, guys, we're going to move into our next topic now, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning here. We're going to do as much as we can to minimize the effect. But in this next topic, there is a potential spoiler for something that happens in Avengers Endgame. If you have not seen the movie, you might want to skip this topic, although we will try to keep the details as minimal as possible, but I just wanted to give you the heads up on that for this upcoming topic. With that said, Ashley, what is our next topic?
This one is from Andre. Hi, from Romania. John, love the show. Have you seen the last Wired autocomplete interview with Anthony Mackie, in which he said, at the end, Falcon is not Captain America? Does this end the debate, or is this just room for more speculation? Thanks, and have a great day.
All right, thanks for that. Now, it should be noted, there's this great series of interviews that Wired does called Autocomplete, where they start with a part of a question, and then they let just Google automatically autocomplete the question, and then they ask the celebrities that question. It's really clever. I actually quite like it. Anyway, Anthony Mackie did this one interview, and it was a couple of days just before Avengers Endgame came out. And as I said, I gave you a bit of a spoiler warning already, guys, but at the end of it, the last question in the interview, and it was like a 10 or 15-minute interview, I can't remember, was, when does Falcon become Captain America? Or something along that. It's like, when does Falcon, and then the autocomplete was, become Captain America? And Anthony Mackie, he looks at the camera and goes, that's a very interesting question, but Falcon is not Captain America. And then he looks kind of knowingly, because he knew the movie was opening the next day and what we were going to see and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to give a small detail without giving away wide details here. At the end of the movie, I'm not going to say who or how or what the circumstances are, but Sam, Falcon, ends up with Captain America's shield.
No way.
It's true. We won't go into the details about how and why for those of you who are still wanting to watch this and not worried about a little bit of detail. Which, of course, has raised the discussion is, does Sam now become, because he's got the shield, does he become Captain America at that point? And there's been some debate back and forth. I thought this was very interesting. Specifically, it's in the way that Mackie answers the question. And the way he says, Falcon is not Captain America. And just the way he sort of did it. Now, it's interesting to note that Disney Plus has stated, no, the show they've got coming out, Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's not Captain America and Winter Soldier. It's Falcon and Winter Soldier. So there's that all in there too. But you ask in the question, does this settle the debate? Honestly, nah. I don't think it settles the debate. I think it's a big thing to take into consideration. I think it's a pretty heavyweight part of the argument that maybe Sam wields a shield, but he doesn't actually become Captain America. I think there's a big argument to be made for that now. But does it 100% settle that debate? I don't think so. I think there's still some room there for interpretation and things like that. But anyway, Rob, you and I watched that interview ourselves. What do you think about this at this point? Is he just going to continue being Falcon just with a new mission? Or is he going to take on the mantle of Captain America?
That's a tough one. I mean, Captain America is Captain America. Part of the reason is because he was subjected to the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
And Anthony Mackie's Falcon, Sam Wilson is just a dude. He's just a guy. He's a soldier. He's a flyer. He uses that flying outfit that makes him the Falcon. I don't know if he really could be Captain America, but he could still be Falcon and wield the shield. It depends. Bucky, however, is a super soldier. So who knows what's going to happen? Both of them have taken up the mantle of Captain America in the comics. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but we have the Falcon and Winter Soldiers coming. That doesn't mean that things can't change. Maybe Sam Wilson wants to be subjected to the super soldier serum. I don't know. I think
didn't in the MCU didn't it all get destroyed? All the super soldier serum, but then again they could make new.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It's just a recipe.
There was always a problem with Bucky becoming Captain America, though, and that is the fact. And you and I both talked about this before. The fact that Bucky is, number one, he's still technically a wanted criminal. Not because of the events of Civil War, but because of the previous decades in which he committed great atrocities. He has a history of being brainwashed. Who knows if there's still programming in his brain or not. They never did resolve things between him and Tony, all that kind of stuff. So there's Bucky being Captain America is problematic to say the least. But it's something they could still explore later if they wanted to, I suppose. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys have heard now what he had to say about that. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you think about those comments. Okay, with that down now, let's move on to the final main topic today. Ashley, what's our final main topic today?
Greg Timoslava. Last year, when Infinity War came out and broke the opening weekend box office record, everyone insisted it was going to break Avatar's all-time record of $2.8 billion. Obviously, it didn't even get close. Now everyone is saying the same thing about Endgame, but it feels different this time since it completely destroyed Infinity War's opening record. I know it's not a sure thing, but if you had to make a case that Endgame will beat Avatar's record, what points would you make? Thanks.
Ooh, great question, Greg. And yeah, listen, the question that's come up for a long time is, besides the question of can it break the opening weekend record, I think we all kind of knew it was going to break the opening weekend record. I mean, then 300 became a possibility. Ain't nobody saw 357 million coming. Even Disney didn't see it coming. Destroyed and slaughtered the existing record. Unbelievable. Now it's turned a lot of our speculative attention over to Avatar. It's turned our attention now to Avatar. What's going to happen with Avatar's record of basically $2.8 billion, like 2.79 or something like that. So $2.8 billion. What's going to happen at that record at this point? And that's a great question. Now, Rob, I've said before that I think it's going to pass Infinity War. Then I think it's going to pass Star Wars Force Awakens. And I do think it's going to pass Titanic. But can it get to Avatar? Can it get there? I still have some reservations, but more and more, I mean, there's a growing amount of arguments to be made that it will indeed catch it. Like even I've got to concede that, right, at this point. So I want to, if you're asking me what points would I make if I was trying to make the case that it will catch Avatar? So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you the 5 reasons why you can expect that Avengers Endgame will catch Avatar. Now, tomorrow I'll give you 5 reasons why it won't. Today I'll give you 5 reasons why it will. Tomorrow I'll give you 5 reasons why it won't, and we'll see what it'll be. It's a toss-up at this point. It's getting awfully damn close. But if I had to make the case that it is going to catch Avatar, here's the points that I would make. Point number 1, strong out of the gate. We have never seen a movie get to $1.3 billion this fast. It's just never happened. Now, a quick start doesn't necessarily mean a strong finish, but it's good news. It certainly doesn't hurt the case. Now, think of it this way. As of right now Avengers Endgame needs to make 1.5 billion more dollars to get to that thing. Already. That $2.8 billion has now just turned into a $1.5 billion gap. Just like that. That gap has shrunk. And if you want to talk about pace, this thing's got a strong pace. Now, again, Infinity War was started off on pace to destroy Avatar's record. And of course, it never got anywhere close. But this is much further ahead than even Infinity War was. So my first point that I would make in the argument that it would catch Avatar is that it is so strong out of the gate. Argument number 2. This isn't some piece of crap movie that did great on its opening weekend because of a good marketing campaign. This is a movie that has received very strong critical and audience reception. People are enjoying this movie. Critics are enjoying this movie. Not everybody's loving it, but the majority of people, the vast majority of people, are really enjoying this film. It's getting strong word of mouth. That always bodes well. Whether it's a 3-hour movie or not, that always bodes well for the kind of legs you can expect to put under you moving forward. So you get that strong out of the gate start, compiled with the fact that it's getting great critical reviews and audience reviews, and it's got that positive word of mouth. That's another strong argument that this thing is going to catch Avatar. The third reason argument I would make is because it's got very little resistance for a number of weeks. I mean, like we went into it this weekend, it's got a little rom-com in long shot that poses no real threat. Then we've got one film on Avengers' third weekend in Detective Pikachu. That'll be a bump in the road, but it's just one film there. Then there's essentially nothing the week after that, and then Aladdin will come. Okay, so Aladdin at that point will be the number one film at the box office that weekend, sure, but that gives kind of like, which Fast and Furious was it where they had the 47-mile long runway?
6.
Was it 6? We're looking at Avengers Endgame now with a very long runway in front of it that it's going to essentially pretty much go, for the most part, unchallenged. So that, I think, is another strong argument of why we'll get to Avatar's number. Point number 4 is the eventness of Endgame. You know, a lot of people will talk about Avatar and how did Avatar get to that amazing $2.8 billion number. It opened it with about 70-something million dollars. 70! And yet it went on to make, why did it do that much? I think a part of that was because of the event atmosphere that started surrounding it. Avatar became a circus in a positive way. Everybody was talking about it. It became the thing that even if you had no interest in Avatar, well, crap, everybody in my office has seen it. All of my fans, my family have seen it. All of my nephews have seen it. All of my nieces have seen it. It's an event atmosphere. People who never watch the NFL watch the Super Bowl because it's the event of it. You know, a lot of people who are not regular moviegoers will watch the Oscars because of the eventness of it. And I think Avatar had that event feel. And I think you can make a strong argument that Avengers Endgame carries that same event kind of feel to it. Whether it's because it's the culmination of a previous 21 films, whether or not it's because it's like it broke all these records, whether it becomes like, again, everybody in my office has seen it. There's an event atmosphere around this movie right now, and that's going to push it a long way, and it's already served it very well. So that is, I think, is a fourth very good argument to make about why Avatar is going to fall to Avengers Endgame. The fifth reason I would make is this, is the Captain Marvel / Black Panther effect. And Rob, you were really the person to me that really highlighted this the most, even up to about a month or two ago, was the fact that when you're going into Endgame, Black Panther was a different kind of movie than the MCU had ever done, than any comic book movie had ever done. And it introduced new audiences into the MCU that may have not been there before, and they got brought in. Black Panther's going to be in Avengers Infinity War. We love this MCU now. And then they came in as well. And you, Rob, made the point to me about a month or two ago that you believe that Captain Marvel is going to have that same kind of impact. That we're going to get a whole new, fresh batch of new audiences that maybe have never gone to an MCU movie before. They're going to come out for Captain Marvel. You know, you're going to get a bigger of a female audience out to this thing that maybe have never gotten into the MCU before. And then that has now funneled itself directly into Avengers Endgame, much the way that Black Panther did for Infinity War. And I think when you sit back, if we were in a court and I had to make my arguments, I think I just made a winning argument. And the 5 arguments are strong out of the gate, already at 1.3, maybe by the end of the day at 1.4. Critic and audience approval is through the roof. There is no resistance, any significant resistance coming for a while. It's got a nice long runway in front of it. There's an absolute event feel to this movie, and we've got that Captain Marvel and Black Panther effect in engagement here. Those, I think, are reasons. Now, I believe there are also some arguments to be made that why it won't still. It still has $1.5 billion to go. And how many movies in history have ever made $1.5 billion? And it's already got its opening weekend behind, but we'll go into those tomorrow. But I think these are 3 pretty strong arguments for why Endgame is going to catch Avatar. Rob, you've heard my arguments now. What would you say to any of those? Or do you have any off the top of your head that maybe you think I'm leaving out at this point?
I mean, I think what the most important, I agree with all of those sound arguments that you made, but I think the most important thing is this is a movie that has touched people. It's not just an event movie. I mean, I've been getting letters from people, old guys, like middle-aged dudes who are going to see this movie 3 and 4 and 5 times. They're taking their daughters and granddaughters, and it's really... I think this is a comic book movie that also, for whatever reason, has an emotional impact more than any other, maybe other than Logan. I can't imagine a comic book movie that's made people cry as much as this movie has. People have a real emotional connection to this movie, more than I've ever seen of any comic book movie, especially on a mass audience scale. I think it's just a great movie that's connecting with people, and people want to see it again and again and again. And the only way a movie can catch Avatar is through replayability.
Yeah.
You got to get people to go see it more than once, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you and I have seen it multiple times, and a lot of people I'm talking to, I went 4 times in the last couple of days. And I've never seen anything like this. And I think what's interesting, the second time I saw this movie, I was struck by just how well it holds up to multiple viewings. You know, there aren't parts of it where I go, oh,
well, this 3 hours long. There's a lot to rediscover along the way.
I know, but it's like there's something. This movie's got something going on. It's got whatever Tinkerbell uses on Disney movies. Tinkerbell flew around the Disney lot and found some of this special magic dust that she sprinkles on things, and she sprinkled it on this movie. This movie has that X factor that I don't know what it is, but it's something that's really permeating the psyche, especially of like middle-aged dudes. They're going back. I'm going back.
I think it's everybody, man. I think you can go across demographics on this.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
From men, women, children, young, old, across the board. It seems to be touching on every demographic. Which, I mean, look, that's Disney. They want to be a 4-quadrant film, right? They want all their stuff to be that. And there's a reason they like their films to be that, and it's paying off, and we're seeing it in spades. And let's see how it does. Again, I think we're going to get I think we will know 100% for sure if Avatar is going to get caught by Endgame on the weekend that Detective Pikachu opens. I think at the end of that weekend, we will know for sure if it's going to catch it or not. We might even know for sure before that happens, but I think at the very latest, we're going to know it there. Let me ask you guys, what do you think? Are there other arguments to make that this thing is going to catch it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we're going to get on to some live questions here in just a second. You guys have been pouring in a whole bunch of live questions. But before we do, there are other things going on in the world of movies and television that we don't have time to make main topics. However, we want to make sure you're caught up to date on everything that's going on. So here's a little segment presented by Fact Checker Jonathan that we call the Movie News Feed. Check it out.
First up, from the writer-director duo behind I Feel Pretty starring Amy Schumer, Never Been Kissed and The Vow starring Rachel McAdams and Channing Tatum comes a new comedy, Fantasy Camp. From Deadline, Kristen Bell was attached to star in the film at one point. However, now the lead role has gone to Jennifer Garner. Fantasy Camp follows Julie, played by Garner, to a reunion at the theater camp of her youth, Camp Footlights, where she will get the chance to challenge her fears, live out her dreams, and finally take the stage. Jennifer's voice can be heard in Wonder Park. Her other recent credits include Fox's Love, Simon and the HBO series Camping. She's also developing Yes Day for Netflix and the series My Glory for Apple TV. Next up, Robin Wright has been expanding her production role behind the camera of late. She has directed 10 episodes of Netflix's political drama, House of Cards, including the 2018 series finale. Now, Wright is moving into feature film territory. From IndieWire, Wright will make her feature directorial debut with Land, which she will also star in as a woman consumed by grief who resolves to remove herself completely from life as she has known it and disappear. Wright will play Edie, a cosmopolitan lawyer who takes herself off the grid almost entirely. With advice from online survivalists, she moves to the most unpopulated area in the United States, living in a cabin in the Shoshone National Forest in Wyoming. All alone, she must learn to hunt, fish, and grow her food as she faces brutal winters, a challenging landscape, and local wildlife that could kill her at any moment. In crossing paths with Joseph, a First Nations local, Edie begins to confront her demons and surprises herself with her own will to survive. Production will kick off this summer in British Columbia. The film will cover the wild landscape over 4 seasons. Next up, fans of the Fox series Empire will be happy to hear the show has been renewed for a 6th season. From Entertainment Weekly, the move always seemed like a no-brainer, with the situation only seemingly complicated by the controversy surrounding Smollett, who the network says it currently has no plans to bring back. Fox Entertainment and 20th Century Fox TV said in a statement, by mutual agreement, the studio has negotiated an extension to Jussie Smollett's option for Season 6, but at this time, there were no plans for the character of Jamal to return to Empire. During all of this, Fox made the decision to remove Smollett from the final 2 episodes of Season 5. In what now looks to officially be Smollett's swan song, his character Jamal was given a possible happy ending with his wedding to Kai. Empire airs its penultimate episode of Season 5 on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next up, it has been announced that actor Vincent Cassel of Black Swan, Ocean's 12, and Eastern Promises has been added to Season 3 of HBO's Westworld. From Variety, like most things Westworld, the exact nature of Cassel's role is being kept under wraps. He joins previously announced Westworld Season 3 cast members Lena Waithe and Aaron Paul. Production recently began on Season 3, and the show is not expected to air until at least 2020. And finally, it looks like another video game adapted film is on its way to theaters, this time in the form of the very popular Saints Row franchise. From JoBlo.com, Straight Outta Compton director F. Gary Gray is now developing a film based on the hit action video game franchise Saints Row. Greg Russo, who recently wrote the screenplay for Warner Bros. Mortal Kombat reboot, is penning the script. Upon boarding the project, Russo and Gray will join forces to create a compelling narrative that tells the story of the rise of the 3rd Street Saints as they battle rival gangs in an attempt to conquer the fictional cities of Stillwater and Steelport. Gary's other directorial credits include Friday, Fate of the Furious, and the upcoming Men in Black International, starring Avengers Endgame's Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. And that will do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed.
And now you are all caught up to date on all the stuff going on in the world of entertainment. Thank you to fact checker Jonathan for doing that. I think he's doing a great job, guys. Make sure you show him your love and support and let him know what a good job he's doing. All right, with that down, let's now go over and take some live questions. You guys have been firing them in, so let's get things started. Ashley, what's in the live question form right now?
All right, let's get started. We have one from Raven, the commenter formerly known as Raven4152001. I decided to simplify it for everyone. Today's word, lacherimos. Avengers Endgame made me lacherimos.
That sounds like some kind of unhealthy discharge that comes after sex. I'm not gonna.
Wow.
I don't know if that's.
Yo, wow, that was.
I just.
Yo.
It doesn't sound good to me, but
Sounded
I'll have
like
to look
melancholy or something to me.
Word of the
Wow.
day, though. I do love word of the day. That's pretty cool. Okay, what's next?
And thank you for simplifying. That's very considerate.
Yes, it is.
YTA2513 ordered my first Hot Toy Iron Man Mark II, then ordered Black Suit Captain America, then pre-ordered Black Widow from Endgame. Send help.
See that? Okay, look, Rob, I've been saying this forever. This is why I only own 4. I own 4 because I had none, then I bought 1, and then in a blink of an eye, I had 4. And I'm like, I gotta stop. I can't do this. It's like people who bet on the ponies. It's like I just can't. And I haven't bought another one in a couple of years. And I'm terrified of buying one because as soon as I buy one, I'm like, you know what would look really good right beside this one? And I just can't do it. How do you control the impulses, Rob?
Well, here's what I told people. My philosophy is like, I want all the MCU characters, and they've made multiple copies of each character.
Yeah.
My philosophy is I pick my favorite incarnation of that character. For instance, I am still rocking my Captain America from the first Avengers.
Nice.
I've liked the Captain Americas that have come out since then, but for whatever reason, I didn't have the money at the time, or I did pre-order the new Captain America from Endgame, which just was available for pre-order.
I might have to get that.
Now, when I get that, my Avengers Captain America will go in the box because I keep the box. Everything's mint condition, even though it's been opened. And I will sell that Captain America, because Hot Toys usually hold their value pretty well. So I have my favorite character. Like, there are people, I just saw a video of some guy like in Singapore who's collected all the Iron Man. Unbelievable. He has all the Hot Toys. You could go broke just buying the Hot Toys Iron Man armors. They're all amazing. I only have a few. You don't need them all. I do want to get one day the Star Boost, the space armor from Iron Man 3. I'll get that one day just because it's cool. But that's how you got to manage it. You got to manage it. Unless you've got money to spare, in which case I buy all of them. Because I just like seeing people's displays that have every single Hot Toys figure. And I'm talking about all the way back to Colonial Marines. Don't just buy them in the last 5 years. Go all the way back. Buy every Hot Toys figure.
All right, what's next?
He said send help, Rob. That's not helping.
Yeah, that's not helping.
Was that not helping?
Raven, favorite genre, horror, sci-fi, action, comedy?
Hey, there's things to love in all of them. I normally default to sci-fi fantasy or, sci-fi fantasy is usually where I kind of lay my hat down. I mean, obviously, I love comedy. I love action. I love all that kind of stuff. But that's where mine is. What about you, Rob?
Favorite genre?
Yeah.
I mean, I love science fiction, fantasy, and horror, but my favorite movies are usually not those. I mean, my favorite movies of all time are like The Godfather and All About Eve and Amelie and Almost Famous and The Apartment. And they're not, I mean, I tend to compartmentalize my genres. All That Jazz is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's kind of a fantasy film. I don't know, it's tough. I mean, I love genre movies so much, but they belong in my own special little box, I think.
All right, what's next?
Willow Yang, how is Spock going to beat Kirk? Yo, Spock's like a toothbrush. Look at Kirk. He's got room to spare.
If anybody's going to know what that quote's from, it's you. But
I don't know.
Unless it's from Fanboys. That might be from Fanboys. Because it sounds vaguely familiar, but Willow, I think you stumped us on this one. Even Rob, the Star Trek guy, I think you even stumped Rob.
Yeah, I mean, in Picard, Picard's not a fighter. He doesn't have the flying kick that Kirk has.
Well, he doesn't mention Picard. He just mentions Spock and Kirk.
Oh, that's true.
All right, what's next?
Jay Bling, I filled in all the plot holes for Endgame. So happy with myself.
Well, I mean, look, you can fill in the plot holes for any movie that you want with any plot hole, with any imaginatory sort of script you come up with. What's next?
Sin Vendetta, what's one of your favorite, funniest lines from the MCU? One of mine is, doth mother, you weareth her drapes, LOL.
That one's all right. I mean, that's a good one. I don't know. Look, the MCU's been filled with them, but I got to go back to the first Avengers with Thor. He's adopted. That line, every time I saw it in theaters, the theater erupted. There's a lot of great ones, but that's one that stands out to me. Rob, you got one that just stands out to you quick?
The puny god from the Avengers.
That's good, yeah.
I mean, that cracked me up. When I first saw, I lost it in the theater when I saw that. I just thought that was hilarious.
All right, what's next?
Grandmaster, I think we should all settle on the agreement that Thanos also snapped the Captain Marvel spoiler companion video out of existence. Nobody to blame.
So yeah, Grandmaster was referring to, like, we did a Captain Marvel spoiler video, and we did makeups for it. There's still a handful of questions that still, because I quite frankly just got in over my head. I'm buried under at least a lot of stuff.
I did one.
Yeah, even you did one, yes. And we're still behind, and it will get polished off. I got to get around to it, because now we've got all these Endgame ones we got to do, and I got to give that priority. But those final Captain Marvel ones will get done. All right, what's next?
James Argenta, will Endgame be the first to hit $1 billion domestic?
It's a tall order. It's even with where it's at right now is a tall order, because what happens with all movies is they all do this until they hit zero, right? They all do this until they hit zero. That is what Endgame is now doing. Endgame's on a downward trajectory. That's what it's doing. But it may already be enough ahead to do it. It's possible. That is going to be tight, but it's possible. I mean, it's going to be at like maybe 600 million by the time the second weekend ends. I mean, that's crazy. But then does it still have another 300 million in it after that? I don't know, but it's definitely possible. Rob, like, would you rule it out? Because I certainly can't.
No, I wouldn't rule it out. I think this is an extraordinary movie. I mean, we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen the culmination of a 22-film saga that has been this popular. I mean, Marvel now has passed 20 billion. So if you think about it, $20 billion for 22 movies, that's a pretty good average. You're looking at almost $1 billion a film now. I mean, talk about a high tide raising all ships. No one's ever seen anything remotely like this in the history of humanity. Certainly not in the history of Hollywood. So I don't put anything past this movie. We'll know, not even after this weekend, we'll know into weekend 3, like you said, Detective Pikachu, and weekend 4. I mean, if this movie is going to surpass Avatar, it's going to be in weekend 4, I think. It's going to take a while, but it could do it. I don't know when it's going to stop.
What's next?
Jack Humphreys, the Zac Efron Ted Bundy film is out Friday. Are you still excited?
No, once it made its jump to Netflix, honestly, I lost most of my excitement for it. And that may not be fair. That might not be fair, but I'm just being honest. Like, once I hear it goes to Netflix, I lost my excitement for it. That tells me that the studios thought no one's going to go see this. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not good. So I'm still curious about it, but I will admit most of my enthusiasm was kind of disappeared from it. All right, what's next?
Speaking of Netflix, KAW Garrett 83, with a few exceptions, Netflix seems to cancel most of their shows after season 3. Is this because they don't see a subscriber benefit to additional seasons?
I think there's probably a plethora of reasons. But look, the first thing we got to understand is Netflix doesn't release their actual viewership numbers to us. And they have some analytics to say when we launch a season, do we see a bump in subscriber base and stuff like that? I remember when House of Cards season 1 came out, there was this report came out in Deadline that was just like they saw, in terms of Netflix, a massive jump in their subscriber base and stuff like that. And hence we saw that show continue on for quite a while. It was their most popular show for a while. So it's hard to say. There's things about increasing costs. You got to renegotiate. Is it not getting the numbers that we thought it was getting? Is it problem with rights holders? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that. But we are seeing some big shows, some known shows. But quite frankly, shows I've never watched. I never watched Santa Clarita Diet. I never watched One Day at a Time. Everybody talks about them, but I've never watched them, and most people I know haven't watched them. So who knows how big they are? Rob, you got anything to add to that?
Well, look, they're leveraged to the gills. They've borrowed billions and billions of dollars. They're a publicly traded company, and I think it makes no sense for their business model. They're not making any more money in terms of their subscriber base is not going up a great deal because of one particular show. They don't have their Game of Thrones shows, so they now have a model where it's three and done. I'll be curious to see if Stranger Things does not get renewed for a 4th season, assuming they can beat this court case, this plagiarism case they're dealing with. If they don't renew Stranger Things, then I think it's pretty set in stone that Netflix is only interested in 3 seasons of a show, because then it comes time to renegotiate and the shows just become too expensive to make work within their own business model.
All right, what's next?
It's Mog Ruler. John, B nerd Andre Meadows. Invite him on.
I generally don't like inviting people on my show unless it's people that I know really well and really enjoy and really like them. I honestly, then that's no shade on anybody out there who's great and fantastic. I'm not a collab guy. Like, I have all these YouTube companies come and say, John, you got to do collaborations. I'm like, no, I don't. I really don't. Not that I don't like other people, but I also see that as I don't put myself on other people's shows either. I just enjoy other people's shows and I enjoy mine, and I don't see the need for a lot of collaboration. So I'll have a Greg Alba on because I know Greg, and I really enjoy Greg. And Rob can't be here every day, so I got to have somebody who can come in when Rob's not here because he's making movies. And a waste of time stuff. But I've met Andre. Andre seems like a really, really nice guy, but I don't know him well or anything like that. I'm not on a first name basis with him. We've met, but generally speaking, you guys probably noticed I don't really do many collabs. It's just not something I'm into. Doesn't mean I'll never do them, but it's just not something I'm really into. All right, what's next?
Ben Ellman found the show at the beginning of this past semester and have been watching every day since.
Nice.
Being able to come on here and talk movie news with people like me really helped me get through the first year at college. Thank you for providing a place for geeks to come and talk all things movies.
Oh, well, thanks a lot for that, Ben. I love hearing stuff like that, and it's not just the show, it's the film fan community is great. And when you can find pockets of the film fan community that you can plug yourself into, geek out a bit, just really let that part of your fandom kind of thrive and stuff like that. It's always fun and it's great. And I'm really grateful that you're here, Ben. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I hope you are with us for quite a while. All right, what's next?
Raven, how long before we can talk Endgame related spoilers?
My spoiler rule is always as such. 2 weeks after it comes out on home video. That's the rule. The rule for me is you let it complete its theatrical run, then you let it come out on home video, and you give it a week or two on home video. Then it's open game to talk about it, because not everybody can get out to the theaters to see a movie in theater. You want to give them a chance to see it on home video. But my kind of point is this: if a movie is in theaters, completes its full theatrical run, and comes out on home video, and it's been out on home video for weeks, and you still haven't seen it, then you can't convince me that it's that important to you. And that hearing a spoiler is going to be that bad. At some point, the film fan community has to have license to just openly discuss some stuff, but that to me is when the line is. All right, what's next?
James Walsh, here The Gifted has been canceled. Gonna miss it.
Yeah, I think there's a chance, like a lot of these other shows, that maybe it'll be picked up by another service, might go over to Hulu. I mean, I've heard some things that Hulu could become a home for it, which I hope so, which is really a shame though, because I really, really enjoy this show. I think it's really quite good, so I was sad to hear it was canceled. All right, what's next?
Right. Sonic trailer has gotten more dislikes than likes. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when the organized mob gets together and decide they're going to go do so. Hey, look, I said, and I still stand by it, I don't care what anybody says. I think it was cuter than I thought it would be. Do I think it's good? No. Do I think that means the movie's going to be good? No. But I watched the trailer again. I'm like, it's cute. I mean, it's cute. It's not necessarily targeted at me. It's not necessarily my kind of trailer, but I thought it was cute. But yep, there are a whole lot of people really disliking it, and I can see why. All right, what's next?
Ben Ellman, thoughts on a ST disco spinoff with Pike plus Spock?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I would love it. Because one of the things that really disheartened me, now Rob and I have completely polar opposite opinions on Star Trek Discovery. But,
Except about this.
I thought, what's the name of the actor?
Anson Mount.
Who was the lead guy, by the way, in that terrible Inhumans incarnation.
He was Black Bolt.
But I liked him in it. I thought, even though he didn't even speak, I thought him as Captain Pike was great. And Rebecca Romijn as number one. And I liked the incarnation of Spock. And when they end up on the bridge of the Enterprise, I'm like, I don't want this to end. And I was totally bummed out when they made the announcement like a month ago that Star Trek Discovery Season 3 wasn't going to have Pike back. I'm like, he's the best thing about this show. But I felt the same way at the end of Season 1 because I loved Malfoy, the actor.
Lorca.
Yeah, the guy who played the captain, what's his name again?
Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
He played Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm forgetting his name now, but I loved him, and they took him out. Then they had Pike come in, and now they took him out. But I'd be down. Honestly, if they announced that they were going to do a spin-off series with that, I'd be down for it. Rob, would you?
I loved Anson Mount as Pike. He was the only actor on the entire show that ever knew he was on a Star Trek series. So I thought it was fantastic. I love the way he acted. I thought that I didn't like the way he was frequently talked over by his subordinate crew. But hey, what can you say? I really loved Anson Mount. He looked the part. He cuts a dashing figure as a Starfleet captain. I really liked him a lot. I would love to see a show about the adventures of that Enterprise.
All right, what's next?
AFC Endgame writers on the John Campea Show for Q&A to address plot holes?
Here's the funny thing. I often have people say, like I would have like a James Gunn in studio or something like that. People go, well, John, why don't you make it fair and have some DC people in? You think I can just pick up a phone and say, hey, Warner Brothers, send over Henry Cavill, toot sweet, and make it snappy. And they just send, I would love to have the Endgame writers in here, the guys who wrote Infinity War. I would love to do that, but it's not like I can just pick up a phone and make it happen. Granted, to be fair, I haven't tried, but it's not that easy. Although I will say this, the easiest people to get for interviews are writers. Because normally all the major media outlets, they want to talk to the stars or they want to talk to the directors. And traditionally, it's been a lot easier to get a hold of the writers' publicists to get some media coverage for them. Maybe I should try, because everybody wants to talk to the Russo brothers. Everybody wants to talk to Chris Evans. Everybody wants to talk to Robert Downey Jr. Everyone wants to talk to Chris Hemsworth. Maybe I should give it a shot. You know what? I'm going to try.
Marcus and McFeely are great. They're a really great team. And by the way, I don't think they did this, but there's a lot of writers in Hollywood who have no more agents you have to call anymore, so it's pretty great.
True.
Yeah, that's true. All right, what's next?
Ray Mooney, what other MCU characters will get a spin-off show?
I mean, look, anybody who's not one of the majors. I mean, I could see a Valkyrie, but they might be setting her up for her own movie. But I could totally see a Valkyrie one. I don't want to go too into detail just in case it gives away spoilers. But I'll tell you what I'd be down for. Meek and Korg. God, I'd be down for a Meek and Korg movie. I'd be down for it. Like, you got any one off the top of your head, Rob, that strikes you?
Howard the Duck.
Oh, God, I hate Howard
Meek
the Duck.
Korg and Howard the Duck trapped in a world he never made. I'm still waiting for. Look, I think the Grandmaster Collector TV show or movie where they hit the road. It's a Hope and Crosby buddy comedy with Howard the Duck in tow could be hilarious.
By the way, did you see the YouTube sketch of Grandmaster roommating with Thor's roommate?
Yes,
Because they did the Thor roommate,
Yep.
which was some of the funniest stuff, and then they did another one where Thor moved out and Grandmaster moved in.
Yep.
It's hilarious. I'd be down for that. All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave. I read that the Tolkien estate had distanced themselves from the Tolkien biopic. Thoughts?
Yeah, I heard about that, but they didn't. I mean, the rights had already been passed, so somebody else had the ability to give those rights on. Doesn't matter. Look, the problem that I always have with biopics that get made by the estate, I always question about, okay, are we going to get the real story? Are we going to get the real story here? Because there's going to be a temptation to cover up the bad stuff and over highlight the good stuff, right? So to me, I really don't care that the Tolkien estate has separated themselves from it at all. If anything, it actually makes me more interested in the movie. So your thought on that, Rob?
Well, no, I agree. And look, the Tolkien estate is they're very litigious. They're very protective of everything,
Which is fair.
And it probably drives them to distraction that this movie's coming out and they have nothing to do with it. But then again, they did sell the rights to The Lord of the Rings to Amazon for $250 million, which will never be surpassed. No one will ever pay that much for literary rights in the history of entertainment ever again. So they're doing all right.
All right, what's next?
Chief Dog 1100. Hi, John, Rob, and Ashley. Endgame for the third time this weekend, or John Wick 3? The hardest choices take the strongest wills. This year, this is the year of geekdom.
Wait a second. John Wick 3 doesn't open this weekend.
No.
So it's like, wait a minute. That doesn't open until the 17th.
Yeah, it opens in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks from Friday.
So there's no decision to be made. I would say go see Longshot. If you've already seen Endgame, I'd say go see Longshot. I know I'm planning on seeing Longshot this weekend. I might squeeze in one more. See, that's the other thing about Endgame is that it is a 3-hour movie. I've seen it 4 times already. I honestly don't have many more in-theater screenings left in me. I might have, definitely have one. I might have 2, but I'm almost Endgamed out, at least as far as 3 hours sitting in the theater to do it. So I'm going to go see Longshot. I would say that one. But anyway, that's the way. But you're right. John Wick 3, number of weeks away, so don't even worry about it.
I already have my tickets.
All right. There you go. What's next?
Smog Ruler. What is it about the DCEU that doesn't make it as popular as the MCU?
Oh, there's no one thing. Everybody wants to look for the formula. What's the formula? What's the formula? The bottom line is they haven't executed their individual movies to be as crowd-pleasing or critic-pleasing as the MCU has. And every single movie has different reasons for that. Everybody wants to find the one magic button. People try to say, it's because they didn't do enough standalone films. No, it has nothing to do with that. If Batman vs. Superman came out and people loved it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's just simply every single movie has its own unique individual reasons for not being as well received as the MCU movies have been well received. But everybody's looking for that one magic bullet. There is no one magic bullet. And that's kind of the thing. All right, what's next?
James Welsh. Rob, did you know that there is a Kevin Feige hot toy?
Yeah, but there's
is
only
it available?
one.
Yeah, I think
there's
just made
only
it for
one,
him, right?
And he has it. But I want it. Hopefully one day I can meet him, work with him. That's my dream.
And steal it.
Well, I'll just ask him to give it to me.
Oh yeah, just give it to me. Just
Come
give
on,
it to
Kevin.
me. Why not? I would love to own that one too, as a matter of fact. All right, what's next?
I'm upset. Sonic trailer reminds me a lot of Hop.
You know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong, which also I believe had James Marsden in it, if I'm not mistaken. So somebody else said it reminded them of Smurfs, and I went, oh, you're right. It's got a lot of the Smurfs storyline there, and those aren't necessarily good comparisons. All right, what's next?
Bobby Lorca, over under 30% Frozen 2 makes more than Episode 9 worldwide.
Ooh, I'll take 30% a low. Now, I think The Force Awakens makes more worldwide, but 30% a low number. And don't forget, the first Frozen made over $1 billion. It has not dipped in popularity. Every time Ann and I go to Disneyland or anything like that, and we see hordes of little girls still dressed as Anna and whatever the other one's name is. And every time Ann, who works for Hasbro, I don't know if I should say this. I'm going to say it. It's just a running joke with us. We walk by and we see a little girl in a Frozen outfit and just goes cha-ching. Cha-ching. Like every time, just as a running joke between the two of us. But I mean, it is as popular with kids and little girls and families as ever. I don't think it will, but at 30%, I'll take that action. I'm going to go over on 30%, Rob.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm not convinced that I don't think Episode 9 is going to be the box office juggernaut that The Force Awakens was. I think that ultimately, it's just I don't think it's as popular.
No, I think it's a 1.5 billion dollar. I don't necessarily think it's gonna be 1.2. Of course, we may totally change our tune as we get closer and the new trailers come out.
Yeah,
like we might totally change our tune as we get closer. But right now, yeah. So I'll take over 30%. All right, what's next?
Darth Suthius. Morning, guys. All this talk about Game of Thrones, and I'm only on season 2.
Wow.
LOL. I already know things from other seasons. It's all good. Any other shows on HBO?
There's a lot of great shows on HBO. I have recently in the last number of months been turned on to, why am I forgetting the name of the show now? The name of the show is the name of the character. SNL guy. He's the hitman in acting class. Barry. I've been turned on to Barry recently. I haven't started on season 2 yet, but I love season 1. Now, Ashley, I'm going to ask you this again because it just strikes me that Barry is the type of show you would love. Have you seen Barry?
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Bill Hader fan. I haven't seen season 2 yet, but I watched Barry, Veep, Silicon Valley. Those are like my favorite HBO and Game of Thrones. But it's I don't want to say anything, but the finale of season 1 of Barry, I don't know. I wonder what you guys think about it.
I loved it, actually.
You did love it?
I
did.
I didn't talk to you about that after
because Ann didn't either, but I did. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. But you know what's another one? It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I haven't watched Ballers yet. And I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. HBO's got a lot of great content. Yeah. Like a lot of great content.
Veep is awesome.
Hey, one of my favorite TV shows of all time is The Wire.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people who believe that's just like de facto the greatest television show ever made.
And if you like, reading those kinds of stories, which I do, The Wire is one of the most definitive stories about modern American cities you could possibly imagine.
And a lot of Game of Thrones alum in that show. All right, what's next?
All right, Darth Suthius. I love me some time travel, so I'll be watching Predestination today. Always hear it as a recommendation. Any other time travel movies, shows to watch?
I love that movie.
I'm not really big into time travel.
What?
Actually, I find it to be a very annoying, lazy plot device.
What?
Because, it's one of the things I've said before is true. There is no problem in any movie or TV show that can't be solved with time travel. Yeah, can't figure out a way to time travel. It's a lazy man's writing device. That doesn't mean there aren't exceptional examples of it being used really, really well. I always go back to Star Trek, not the Undiscovered Country, Voyage Home. I always go back to Voyage Home. I love it. Computer. I love that movie. If other than Wrath of Khan, it might be my favorite Star Trek film, but. Well, double dumbass on you. That line is so good. Obviously, Back to the Future. There are some shining examples of when it's used great. Obviously, Endgame is super popular with people, but just in general, I'm like, oh, it's time travel. Okay, well, there you go. I'm just not a time travel guy. Rob?
Well, if you want to see a great time travel movie that's low key, it's a Spanish movie called Time Crimes. Watch that.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
And Time Crimes is incredible. Tom Cruise is going to remake it in America. Apparently, it never happened. And if I might pimp my own movie, I edited a time travel movie that's on Netflix, and it's called Paradox. There's 2 paradoxes. It's the really cheap, low-budget one, but I'm proud of it, and you can find it in the basement of Netflix somewhere. But check it out.
I'm going to have to go look it up now. All right, what's next?
Next one I think is a spoiler if you want to look at it.
Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, let's move on.
Zach Bartron, SpongeBob turns 20 today. Holy crap.
To this day, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. So I can't, but wow, that is kind of crazy that turns 20. But yeah, I can't remember a time when it wasn't around. That is nuts, Zach. That is really nuts. All right, what's next?
Life's good. Watched Game of Thrones episode 3 again, and it looks like they fixed the lighting. Still a freaking great episode. Safe to talk spoilers now?
I give it till after the next episode airs. I wouldn't talk because, look, hey, people are busy, man. It just aired on Sunday, right? So it's only been out for a couple of days. There's still a number of people who haven't seen it. Ashley, have you even seen it yet?
Yes, remember we talked about it?
Oh, that's right. You did finally get around to seeing it. That's right. You just couldn't watch it all on the opening night. I'd say, yeah, maybe at the end of the week we'll be able to do that. But Yeah, it's good to know that they fixed their lighting issue. All right, what's next?
I think the next one is also a spoiler.
Okay, then we'll skip.
Greg C., if you were writing this script, which Avengers would you have sent to...
Well, we'll skip that one too. Hey guys, listen, look, we can't police everything, but if you do send in a question that's a spoiler or something, we cannot address it, just so you know. All right, what's next?
Clay Woodley, you guys talk about a Fast and the Furious Jurassic World crossover, but I think crossing Jason Bourne into the Fast universe is more likely.
Look, this is going to sound as stupid and crazy as anything. A Fast and the Furious Jurassic World crossover makes far more tonal sense than crossing over Fast and Furious and Jason Bourne. That sounds ridiculous to say, but tonally, Jurassic World and Fast and Furious are far more similar to each other than a Jason Bourne thing would be. I don't see it at all. I just can't see that. Rob, what about you?
I think it's the greatest idea in the world to cross over the Jurassic Park and the Fast and the Furious franchise. Who's to say that Jurassic Park doesn't exist in the Fast and the Furious world?
Right.
Isla Sorna and Isla Nublar, whatever. Awesome, bring it on. That's what Lost World 3 should be. I mean, I want to see the fast cars and fast dinosaurs running amok through the streets of American cities or foreign cities, wherever. Bring it on.
That Velociraptor's family. All right, what's next?
J Meister 25. Am I the only one who finds baseball boring?
Oh, God, I find it insufferably boring. I remember my law firm, and I just pissed a lot of people off. I'm sorry. All due respect to everybody who loves baseball. That's
because
great.
you're Canadian, dude.
Hey, dude,
it's a great American pastime.
We won the World
Here.
Series 2 years in a row, kid. We won the World Series 2 years in a row, the Toronto Blue Jays. But I remember my law firm that I worked at, we had private box seats at what was then called the Rogers Center, or the Sky Dome is what it used to be called. And just different people who worked at the law firm. You want to take the things tonight? Sure. So just one day I took the tickets. We had a private box. Me and a buddy went. We left in the fifth inning. It's like, this is so unbearably boring. And that it's one of the few sports that I have a much easier time watching it on TV than live because it's just such a slow...
Didn't you create curling?
What's that?
Didn't you create curling?
No, the Europeans created curling. Canadians are just really good at it, but very, very few Canadians curl. I'd say like maybe 1% of the population
Just saying.
curls.
It's a great American pastime.
There's a
You
place
gotta
in
stick
LA
up.
where you can
Football
learn curling.
is the great American pastime. That's why football makes far more money in this country than baseball does. The ratings are through the roof, all that kind of stuff. But again, I'm not trying to say anybody else shouldn't like baseball. I'm just saying, even when we were winning World Series, I just really couldn't get all that into it. But like anybody else, when it gets into like the divisional finals and World Series, I'll watch because it's the event aspect of it, right? But I just can't get into baseball. All right, what's next?
Yeah, you can take curling lessons in LA. I looked it up.
That's-
I thought it was going to be my next. I was like, I want to
Actually-
get into the Olympics.
Okay,
You know my
we
buddy
should do
Soul?
a field trip and do that.
Yes.
You know my buddy Soul?
Yeah.
He actually is in a curling league here in LA. He's in a curling league here in LA. I know more people who curl in Los Angeles than people who curl in Canada.
Dude, I want to curl. Why aren't we curling?
It's a great lazy man's game, but it's so hard. It's really tough.
The
I want to learn
fastest
it.
way
I'm
into the
obsessed
Olympics,
now. I'm going to be a
though.
curler.
All right, what's next?
Terrell Wise missed the first time, but got them both the second time.
We can't. That is a great thing, but we're not going to talk about where or when that is. All right, what's next?
Darth Southius, isn't there a reservation list to be the first ones to get into the Galaxy's Edge? Are any of you on it? I believe if you stay in an accommodation, you get first dibs for entry. Crowd level is going to be unreal.
30 days.
I got my spot reserved. I'm very excited about it. Spent the kind of money I shouldn't have spent to be the first one to get into Star Wars. But fortunately, I've got a wife who was even more into it than I was. And it was like, yes, we're not going to eat that week, but we are going to go to Star Wars land.
Yes.
And yep, I got my spot. I reserved the hotel at the Disneyland Resort to get us on that list, and we're on the list, and away we go. I am ludicrously excited. I cannot even because listen, I'm not a Potterhead, but I love going to Universal Studios, visiting World of Harry Potter. It's so immersive, and it's just great, and I just think, oh my God, this in Star Wars? I'm going to lose my mind, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my mind. All right, what's next?
Keenan Hayes, there was one reason Endgame Wait, I just want to read this first. Okay, good. Keenan Hayes, there was one reason Endgame came in third for highest Monday. Black Panther opened on President's Day weekend, and Star Wars opened during the start of Christmas holidays.
Yeah, I addressed that yesterday in the companion video, so we talked all about, and that is definitely a contributing factor. That is absolutely a contributing factor. But I do also think people are undervaluing just how big of a deal it is going into a Monday, a work and school night, with a 3-hour movie. Because like Rob pointed out yesterday, on a Saturday, the difference is 8 showings instead of 9, right? Okay, so that's a difference. But on a Monday where you can't go to see it until the evening anyway, that's a difference of two showings instead of 3. That's a 33% difference. So I absolutely, the holiday stat absolutely is a big contributing factor to that, no doubt. But do not discount how big of a deal the 3-hour running time of the movie on a weeknight plays into that as well. But actually, you're absolutely right to raise that up as a point. All right, what's next?
Eric Flynn, sorry, John, but I can't watch your show this week. Never seen Game of Thrones and have decided to try to watch the entire thing in 1 week. Wish me luck. Good luck.
That's 70 hours.
But that's doable.
It's doable.
I mean, when you're talking about a series that isn't 22 episodes a season, you're talking about 10 and then some 8 and now 1 6. It's doable. So hats off to you, and I hope you're able to pull it off, man. All right, what's next?
You're going to have some bloody dreams, I feel like.
Yes.
Jared McBride, I want you guys to have a great day and let your day be filled with love and happiness. And Ashley, you look beautiful as always. Thank you.
Screw you. Thank you, Jared. That's really nice of you, man. It's always nice when
So
somebody
much for that beautiful day.
Yeah,
when somebody
screw
just wants to write in and say something nice. That's always cool. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that. All right, what's next?
In poor taste humor, if Endgame doesn't win most popular film, I quit.
At what?
Don't quit.
At
No,
life.
but I mean, who has most popular film? Like what?
Is that
the
like at the
Oscars
MTV
don't.
Music
Yeah.
Awards or something?
Maybe. I mean, those aren't
movie
real
awards?
awards anyway. So, I mean, if there was an Oscar and they had an Oscar for most popular film, well, then all you got to do, that's not even something you have to judge. Just look at the box office numbers. Then whoever has the most box office wins. But I don't know who you're talking about. Anyway, what's next?
Doshi, seeing Endgame again in D-Box. Have you tried D-Box?
Never tried D-Box. I've had people tell, that's a Cinemark thing, right? Is D-Box?
I think
or
so.
Or is it in different theaters?
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
not-
4DX is Cinemark. I'm not quite sure what D-Box isn't.
I've never seen anything in
Yeah, I've
D-Box.
never been, but I've had other people refer me to it, so I should try it at some point. I hope you enjoyed it, Doshi. Let me know what you think about it. All right, what's next?
Guy Volt, you think Lion King has no chance of challenging Endgame?
There was a time when I thought it had a chance. Like, look, I always said Endgame will most likely be the #1 box office film of the year. That's the way it is. But there's a chance with the nostalgia factor and all that kind of stuff, that Lion King maybe could be the #1 box office movie of the year. Yeah, that time is gone. I mean, that's just clear. That's gone. So I'm not going to say 0% chance. You'd have to be naive to say 0. But I would say it's extremely unlikely. Extremely unlikely is where I'll go. Rob, what would you say?
I think you're right. I don't think there's a chance. I mean, it's going to do really well. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna make big
gross.
cash. Yeah.
It could even gross $2 billion, but I don't think it's going to outgross Endgame.
All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave, should we be worried that the director for Sonic has only directed an animated short film earlier about gophers or something?
No, I mean, these are the types of films that I think a first-time major director should be doing. Where I get concerned is when it's like, this guy who has never directed before in his life is directing this $185 million tentpole epic. I mean, that's when I get a little bit worried, because I like to see directors cut their teeth. For example, I was really worried, as much as I like, why am I forgetting his name, who's directing X-Men Dark Phoenix?
Simon Kinberg.
Simon Kinberg. I'm a big fan of Simon Kinberg, but he's never directed anything. And I would have much rather see them give Simon Kinberg something else to cut his teeth on before doing an X-Men tentpole film. But for something like Sonic, no, this is the type of movie that first-time director, that's fine. Every first-time director has to have their first movie. I think this is the type of movie you can do that with. I just get nervous when you pull a Kinberg and do with that. But anyway, yeah, we'll see how Dark Phoenix turns out. All right, what's next?
Yeah, because it's hard. You have to have respect from your crew and your DP. And if you're a first-time director on something giant, it might be a bad hierarchy on set. Anyway, Kenny Kearns. Hey, one of two. Hey, John, if you Google Thanos, I just want to make sure this isn't a spoiler.
Yeah.
It will have a little gauntlet off to the side. If you click on the gauntlet, it will snap its fingers, and all of the info on Google about the Avengers fades into dust. This is no joke, and it's super cool. Do you think Disney paid for it? Or did Google just love Avengers that much? Also, Endgame was my first Avengers theater experience. Have an amazing day, John.
Well, actually, Kenny, I actually talked about this about a week ago. I talked about it, and I put it up on my social media and everything. And, it's true, Kenny. That is something they do. If you look that up on Google, off to the side when all the results come up is a little drawn Infinity Gauntlet. And if you go over and click on that Infinity Gauntlet, all the Avengers results start to turn to dust and fade away. It's very, very cool. It's been out for a while. I didn't know they were still doing it. But if you guys have not seen that, you should. And that is wild that this Endgame is your first Avengers in theater experience. What a way to kick off your in theater Avengers experiences by watching that. It's too bad you missed out on Infinity War because I thought that one was even better. But this is a big, bold, fantastic one to have your first experience in there with. So thanks for sharing that, Kenny. Appreciate that, man. All right, what's next?
Terrell Wise, Avengers will take down Avatar's box office in a snap.
Don't count on that. don't look. It may catch it, but don't think it's going to be easy.
Right.
And do not think it's a foregone conclusion. Just keep in mind, we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. Even at 1.3 billion already, that means it still has 1.5 billion to go. Almost no films in history have made 1.5 billion dollars. And it now has to do that already having done its opening weekend and already opened in every international market. It has a really good shot at doing it, but don't think for a second it's a snap. Don't think for a second that's a foregone conclusion at this point. It's still got a long way to go. All right, what's next?
Anthony R. Looks like the Sonic movie will have a ... Dreamcast ... Okay, I'll show myself out.
Come on, that was good.
That wasn't bad.
You gotta rise. That was good.
I'll give it that.
That was good.
That one wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. All right, what's next?
Kylo Ren and Stimpy saw a 2:30 a.m. IMAX showing of Endgame Tuesday morning. They didn't show any trailers. They just went straight into the film. It was sold out showing.
Well, it's not often. I mean, like one of the things I love about press screenings is that, and I don't go to a lot of press screenings anymore. I'd rather just go see it in theaters. But one of the great things about press screenings is no trailers. They just start at the movie. It is very rare that you go into a theater and they don't have a screening. That must have been like a last second added screening where they didn't have a contract for trailers, something like that. That is very interesting. But man, that's pretty cool, Kylo Ren. That's pretty cool. I would love that to happen in my theaters more often. All right, what's next?
Tyler Van. Hey, guys. Hope you're doing well. My question is, do you think Shyamalan is more of a good or bad filmmaker?
He's a filmmaker where it depends on the day you catch him on, right? And he's a filmmaker that depends if he's got somebody over him that can tell him no. Because the more and more powerful he became, the worse and worse his movies got. And then, of course, Rob, there's that infamous story about when they were in the process of making Lady in the Water, and that was going to be done with Disney. And one of the presidents at Disney had some issues with the script because it is one of the worst movies ever made. Had some issues, and there's this infamous dinner meeting that happened. You guys can go and read about this, where this Disney exec went and had dinner to express some concerns about the script. Like, hey, M. Night, maybe it seems a little pompous to write a main character in the movie who is a writer whose writing is so brilliant it's destined to save the world, and casting yourself as that writer. Maybe that's not a good idea. And expressing just a number of concerns with this all-time horrible movie. And he was so outraged. How dare you? I'm M. Night. And he stormed out and said, I will never work with Disney again. You're out of the M. Night business. And we got one of the worst films ever made in Hollywood, followed by another one of the worst movies ever made in Hollywood, followed by another one of the worst movies made in Hollywood. And then when he started working with Blumhouse, and now he had other people writing the checks, and he had other people that could say no, then we see his creativity start to come a little bit better. When he had some checks and balances, then his creativity really came forward, and we got The Visit, which I think is a real nice little movie. If you guys haven't, it's got Catherine Hahn in it. If you guys haven't seen The Visit, check it out. And then, of course, after that came Split, and now after Split came Glass. I wasn't big on Glass, but a lot of you guys did like it. That's when he's on. So I can't answer the question flat out, is he a good filmmaker or a bad filmmaker? It depends on the day. On his good days, he's a very good filmmaker. On his bad days unchecked, He's an abysmal filmmaker. But he's on a good streak right now. Like, Rob, when I say the name M. Night Shyamalan to you right now,
Yeah.
what's the emotion that elicits in you right off the bat?
Well, to me, he's a filmmaker who now I see him as somebody who he's a cautionary tale is what he is. Because he starts out with The Sixth Sense. I mean, he made a movie before that, but The Sixth Sense, huge hit. Unbreakable, really interesting, not as much of a huge hit. Signs, another huge hit, which I really liked.
I like Signs very much.
And then he sort of spiraled out of control.
They did The Village, which was like, what was
yeah,
that?
and then it's like he was known for just his twists, and then they didn't work. And then he made Lady in the Water, and he made The Happening. To me is one of the most, like, I like the script. When I read the script, I'm like, this is really interesting. One of the most god-awful movies I've ever seen in terms of its tone. Like, I'm like, the line delivery in that movie is so baffling to me. I don't understand. And it was a movie I wanted to love because I did like the script. And then, he was basically erased. He did After Earth, the Will Smith, Jaden Smith movie, which...
He very quietly was the director of that. They didn't promote that he was the director of that at all.
No, and I kind of actually liked that. I thought there was a lot of good things in that movie. But then he did something that I thought was amazing for anybody.
We left out Avatar, by the way.
Well, yeah, The Last Airbender. Oh, my God. But he ate crow. He went back and he became a huge Hollywood success. Then he goes back to Blumhouse. He makes The Visit for $5 million. It's a hit, and he's worked his way back up. So I have mad respect for him for doing that because a lot of people wouldn't have. And he's a true filmmaker. I believe that it's in his blood, and he's going to do it no matter what. And good on him.
Yeah, look, I'm cheering for the Shyamalan. I'm cheering. Look, again, you guys haven't checked out...
The Shyamalan.
If you guys haven't checked out...
Wait, the Shamhammer and the Shyamalan.
Yeah, the Shamhammer.
Those are the best things I've ever heard, John.
The Shamhammer shall rise again with the Shyamalan. And we got The Visit. We got Split. Listen, I think when he's on that level and doing that stuff, I'm cheering for it. I really am. But again, it's a great cautionary tale because I still remember he made 1 or 2 movies. Like, this is a great thing for today. Something's good, and all of a sudden people are talking, is this the greatest thing ever? And yeah, you remember this magazine cover? I think it might have been Time, but it was M. Night on the cover after he did 1 or 2 movies. And the cover is The Next Spielberg. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I do.
And it's just him on the cover with his arms crossed. And it's like, well, how'd that turn out? But I think he's on a hot streak right now. He's got some momentum. I hope he can keep it going because when he's on his game, he makes some really fun movies to watch.
Well, I think the biggest lesson from what he's doing is that you can make a theatrical release motion picture for less than $20 million.
Yep.
And it'll make $200 million, $300 million worldwide.
That's what Blumhouse basically is predicating their entire business on.
Absolutely. It's the greatest business model currently going in Hollywood.
It's like,
Might piss off some filmmakers.
Like Jason Blum is like, oh, I saved $3 on that Big Mac combo. Let's make a horror movie with that. And they do, and it makes $8 million. Like it's crazy, their whole thing. And that was made a perfect match. That's been a perfect match. M. Night with Jason. It's been a great match and it's worked out for them. And I hope it continues to be successful for them. All right. We got time for just a couple more here.
DC Patience. Sonic trailer is an X-Men mashup. Sonic is the new Beast, a deformed hedgehog with Quicksilver's powers and hanging with Cyclops in a buddy cop comedy.
That's true. He is hanging with Cyclops. That is the observation of the week.
So is she saying that as an X-Men movie, Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be better than Dark Phoenix? Sorry.
Ooh.
I want Dark Phoenix to be good.
I want it to be good so bad. I just have so many doubts. I love the last trailer. But it's almost like, but I've already heard that it's terrible. I hope that's wrong. Because I love the X-Men franchise so much. I was so disappointed with Apocalypse. I think, Days of Future Past is one of the top 10 greatest comic book movies ever made. A lot of people love First Class. Deadpool, Logan, X-Men 1, X-Men 2. I just want them to finish strong. I really, really want them to finish strong. All right, what's next?
Jonathan Spiroff. Do you think we'll see Avatar 2 footage or maybe an appearance by James Cameron at D23 this year, since it's only D23 before Avatar 2 release?
Ooh, I haven't thought about that. Could Cameron himself pop up at D23? Huh. You know what? I think they might do it. I mean, why not?
I could see that happening.
If you really want to showcase the new merger with Fox there, what better way than to come out of D23 with Avatar 2? I mean, Rob, I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I never even thought about it, but I think that's a really good idea. I think they're going to do. What do you think?
I think you might be right about that. I mean, just seeing, look, CinemaCon rolled out that Terminator Dark Fate footage, and while Cameron wasn't there, Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton was there, and I didn't expect that, and Tim Miller was excited, and I think Cameron's been excited. He was out there doing the stunt parade for Alita Battle Angels, so why not? This is obviously the most important thing he's got going. I'm sure he's going to unveil it.
He was also out doing the stunt parade for Terminator Genesis, but telling all of us how good it was going to be, and we should really look forward to it, but whatever. But you know what? I think that's a great idea. I think they might just do that.
I don't know what a stump parade is. I know what a stump speech is, but a stump parade
I like it.
Really
I like it.
The stump parade.
All right, let's do 2 more, and we'll call it a day.
Jason Dolan, fun fact of Spider-Man Far From Home is 126 minutes long. All 23 Volume 1 MCU films will equal 3,000 minutes, i.e., I love you 3,000.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That is a really interesting, I don't know if that's true, but that is actually a really interesting piece of trivia right there, Jason. All right, last question of the day.
Brian Rogers, will you get to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3? I'm dying to know.
Of course, we did our post Game of Thrones Episode 8 Season 8, Episode 3 open discussion on Sunday. However, I dropped an Endgame spoiler in it inadvertently, and so I chose to take the video down afterwards. We'll probably, after the next episode of Game of Thrones this Sunday, we're going to do another post wrap-up video. We'll probably talk a little bit of Episode 3, but I'm not going to put that video back up. I'm not going to put that other video back up. I just don't have time to download it, edit it, render it, re-upload it. I mean, hell, I'm still behind on the Captain Marvel questions, for heaven's sake. So that's probably not going to go up, but probably this week we'll get around to talking about it a little bit on Sunday. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I, of course, want to thank those in the room joining me. First of all, right over here, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnettwork, and its adjacent website, theburnettwork.net.
And right over here, we got Ashley Whalen. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on my Twitter at AshAttack1, or my Instagram is Ashley Whalen. There's 2 I's in my first name.
And of course, you guys can follow me on social media simply at John Campea. For those of you who still had outstanding questions to come, Logic Chill, Star Killer, James Classman, all the way down, do not worry. I'm going to get all those questions you guys sent in, and we're going to answer them in a video today, in a companion video. Keep your eyes open for when that comes out a little bit later today. Guys, thanks for being here and being a part of the film fan community with us. My name is John Campea, and until our next show, bye-bye.